Welcome, dear listeners. Today, we're going to talk about a transformative concept: what truly happens when we stop caring. This is not about apathy or disengagement from life, but rather a deep spiritual liberation that unfolds when we release our grip on what we've been taught to believe is vital for our happiness and self-worth. In our first exploration, let's consider the weight of expectations. We all carry them: the heavy cloak of society's norms, the burden of what our families and friends expect of us, and even the pressure we put on ourselves. We are conditioned to care deeply about these expectations. They shape our decisions, our sense of self, and our direction in life. But what if we stopped caring? Not in a sense of neglect or disrespect, but with a gentle release. Imagine loosening your hold on the need for approval, on the pursuit of a certain status, or the acquisition of material things. When we stop caring about these external validations, we begin to experience freedom. We're no longer confined by the narrow definitions of success or happiness that are often imposed upon us. We start to discover our own definitions, our own paths. It's astonishing, the clarity that comes when we shed these layers of expectations. It's like the morning sun dispersing the fog that's clouded our vision. We see ourselves, perhaps for the first time, for who we truly are, not for who we're supposed to be. This clarity brings with it a peace, an understanding that our worth is inherent, not contingent on accomplishments or accolades. This brings us to our next point: the liberation from the fear of failure. Think about it. How many times have you not tried something new, not taken a risk, because you were worried about failing? We care so much about not falling short that it paralyzes us. But when we stop caring about failing, we start living. We take those chances, we explore, we grow. Failure is not an end. It's a valuable part of our journey, a teacher guiding us towards growth and resilience. Now, take a moment and reflect on your own life. How has the fear of failure held you back? What might you try? What dream might you pursue if you knew you couldn't fail? The truth is, when we are no longer held back by the fear of what could go wrong, we open ourselves up to the possibility of what could go right. Continuing on, let's talk about comparison. It's said that comparison is the thief of joy. When we care about how we stack up against others, we trap ourselves in a never-ending race. There's always someone who has more, does more, is more. But this is a race with no finish line, a pursuit that can never be won. When we stop caring about comparison, we step off this relentless treadmill. We acknowledge that each of us is on a unique path, with different challenges, different strengths, and different purposes. The only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. This shift in perspective can bring immense contentment and a sense of accomplishment. In this realm of non-comparison, we find our personal growth accelerating. We focus on our journey, our improvements, and our happiness. And in doing so, we become more supportive of others in their pursuits. We celebrate their successes without feeling diminished by them, because we understand that life is not a competition, but a collective journey where each person's success adds to the richness of the whole. Now let's move to the realm of authenticity. When we stop caring about maintaining a facade, about fitting into a mold, we give ourselves permission to be authentic. Authenticity is the essence of our being, the true expression of our soul. It's about being honest with ourselves and with the world. It's about aligning our actions with our values and our words with our truths. Consider how liberating it is to express your true thoughts, to follow your passions, and to live in a way that resonates with your innermost being. When we embrace authenticity, we attract people and opportunities that resonate with our true self. We build relationships based on genuine connections, not on the shaky grounds of pretense or superficiality. And yet, authenticity can be scary. It requires vulnerability and courage. It's not always the easiest path, but it's the most rewarding. When we stop caring about the mask we think we need to wear, we start experiencing life in its fullest, richest form. At this point, I invite you to consider the power of authenticity in your own life. How might your experiences shift if you fully embraced your true self? The journey to authenticity is not always smooth, but it's one that leads to a life of integrity, depth, and fulfillment. As we wrap up this first part of our exploration, let's reflect on the profound shifts that occur when we stop caring about expectations, the fear of failure, comparison, and the need for a facade. Each of these realizations brings us closer to our core, to a place of centeredness where we experience life in its purest form. We come to understand that the things we once thought were so crucial to our happiness were actually distractions from our true source of joy and contentment. The art of surrender, embracing trust and release in the tapestry of life. Now let's continue with our second exploration, where we delve into the art of detachment. Detachment is often misunderstood. It's not about indifference or lack of passion. It's about not allowing our happiness to be contingent on things we cannot control. Imagine the serenity we can find when we stop caring about trying to control every aspect of our lives. We learn to ride the waves of life rather than trying to command the ocean. When we stop caring about control, we start to trust. Trust in the flow of life, trust in ourselves, and trust that whatever happens, we have the resilience to cope and the wisdom to learn. This trust is the foundation for inner peace. It's a state of being that doesn't waver with life's ebb and flow. It's the solid ground upon which we can build a life of serenity. Consider how much energy we expend trying to control outcomes, people, and circumstances. Now, imagine redirecting that energy towards what is within our power, our actions, our responses, and our attitudes. This shift not only conserves our energy but also empowers us. We become creators rather than controllers, active participants in our lives instead of reactive ones. Let's dive deeper. The need for control often stems from a place of fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of loss. But what if we reframed our perspective of these fears? What if we saw change as an opportunity for growth, the unknown as an adventure to be experienced, and loss as a universal experience that connects us with the rest of humanity? When we embrace this mindset, we begin to experience life with a sense of wonder and gratitude. We open ourselves up to new experiences. We grow more adaptable, and we find gratitude in the ever-changing tapestry of life. It's a transformative process that enriches our existence in profound ways. Now, let's turn our attention to the concept of letting go. Letting go is not about giving up, but about accepting that some things are beyond our grasp. When we stop caring about holding on to past hurts, grudges, or regrets, we free ourselves to live in the present moment. We liberate immense energy that was once bound up in past narratives, energy that can now be channeled into creating a vibrant, fulfilling present. Letting go also applies to our sense of identity. We often cling to labels and roles, believing they define us. But what if we stopped caring about these labels? What if we realized that we are so much more than the sum of our roles and titles? This realization can be incredibly liberating, allowing us to explore the multitude of facets that make up our being. The process of letting go invites us to question who we are at our essence, beyond the layers we've accumulated over the years. It's a journey back to the self, a peeling away of the non-essential to reveal the diamond that lies beneath. This is the essence of self-discovery, a path that leads to the heart of our being. And so, I ask you to reflect on what letting go could mean for you. What are you holding on to that is no longer serving you? What aspects of your identity have you outgrown? Letting go is a courageous act, one that paves the way for new growth, new experiences, and a renewed sense of self. As we conclude this second exploration, we've uncovered the power of detachment, the art of letting go, and the beauty of embracing change. We've learned to trust the flow of life and to find peace in the present moment. These lessons are stepping stones on the path to spiritual freedom, a freedom that allows us to live with purpose and joy. The anchored spirit, navigating the inner seas of emotion and thought. As we continue our journey, we arrive at the shores of our internal landscape, the realm of our emotions and thoughts. Our emotions are like the weather, ever-changing and unpredictable. We often care deeply about our emotional state, striving to feel positive emotions while avoiding the negative ones. But what if we stopped caring about the nature of our emotions and instead focused on our response to them? When we practice non-attachment to emotions, we acknowledge their presence without letting them dictate our actions. We observe them as they arise, we feel them fully, and then we let them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. This doesn't mean we become emotionless. Rather, we become masters of our emotions rather than at their mercy. Imagine the inner stability we cultivate when we stop being swayed by every gust of emotional wind. We remain rooted in a deep sense of self that is not shaken by the turbulence of joy, anger, sadness, or fear. This equanimity is a profound source of strength, a wellspring of calm in the midst of life's storms. Now let's move to the realm of authenticity. When we stop caring about maintaining a facade, about fitting into a mold, we give ourselves permission to be authentic. Authenticity is the essence of our being, the true expression of our soul. It's about being honest with ourselves and with the world. It's about aligning our actions with our values and our words with our truths. Consider how liberating it is to express your true thoughts, to follow your passions, and to live in a way that resonates with your innermost being. When we embrace authenticity, we attract people and opportunities that resonate with our true self. We build relationships based on genuine connections, not on the shaky grounds of pretense or superficiality. And yet, authenticity can be scary. It requires vulnerability and courage. It's not always the easiest path, but it's the most rewarding. When we stop caring about the mask we think we need to wear, we start experiencing life in its fullest, richest form. Non-attachment to thoughts is a similar practice. Our thoughts are incessant and often unbidden. They can be a cacophony of judgments, worries, and plans. When we care too much about these thoughts, giving them undue attention and importance, they can lead us down a rabbit hole of stress and anxiety. By practicing non-attachment, we learn to observe our thoughts rather than becoming entangled in them. We recognize them as just thoughts, ephemeral and not necessarily reflective of truth or reality. We gain the freedom to choose which thoughts are worth our energy and which we can let go of. This choice is empowering, a reclaiming of our mental space. Now, consider the peace that could come from this practice. How would your life change if you were not constantly reacting to your thoughts and emotions? If instead you could observe them with curiosity and choose your response with intention? This is the essence of mindfulness, a state of presence that enables us to live with clarity and purpose. As we delve deeper, we come to understand that our core values are the compass that guides us through the fluctuating landscape of our inner world. Living in alignment with our values brings a sense of congruence and integrity. When we stop caring about societal norms that don't align with our values, we find a sense of authenticity and freedom. Our values are like the stars by which sailors of old navigated the vast oceans. They don't change with the winds or tides. They remain constant, guiding us towards our true north. When our actions mirror our values, we live a life of harmony, where our inner and outer worlds are in sync. This alignment is not always easy. It often requires difficult choices and the courage to stand apart from the crowd. But the peace and self-respect that come from such alignment are invaluable. They provide a foundation for a life lived not in pursuit of external validation, but in the quiet confidence of self-alignment. In this space of self-alignment, we also find that our relationships deepen. When we stop caring about playing roles and instead show up as our true selves, we invite others to do the same. Our interactions become more genuine, more meaningful, and more connected. As we wrap up this third exploration, reflect on the power of non-attachment to emotions and thoughts, and the peace that comes from living in alignment with your values. These practices bring us into greater harmony with ourselves and the world around us. They are the pillars of a spiritually fulfilling life, one that transcends the ever-shifting sands of external circumstances. Transcending the ego. Embracing universal oneness. As we embark on this final leg of our profound journey, we navigate the deepest waters of our being, where the concept of the ego, our sense of a separate self, dissolves into the expansive ocean of universal consciousness. This is our ultimate homecoming, a return to the source from which we all emerge and to which we are all connected. The ego has long been our companion, the architect of our individual identities, crafting a narrative of who we are, what we need, and how we should navigate the world. It has been a useful tool enabling us to function in society and assert our personal boundaries. However, it is also the root of much of our suffering, driving our desires, fears, and attachments. To transcend the ego is to step beyond this limited perspective, to see ourselves not as isolated beings competing in a world of scarcity, but as integral parts of a vast, interconnected web of life. It is to recognize that at our core, we are not the titles we hold, the roles we play, or the accolades we receive. We are, instead, manifestations of a greater reality, expressions of a boundless spirit. In our quest to transcend the ego, we first acknowledge the illusion of separateness. Our senses deceive us into believing we are distinct from the world around us. Yet, on a molecular level, we are made of the same elements. On a spiritual level, we share the same essence. By piercing this illusion, we open ourselves to a profound sense of unity with all that is. To transcend the ego is to engage in the dance of surrender, to let go of the need to control and to trust in the flow of life. It is to accept that while we play our part, there is a greater choreography at work, a cosmic dance that weaves the fabric of reality. Surrender is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of courage and strength, allowing us to move with grace through life's unpredictable turns. At the heart of transcending the ego lies the practice of compassion. When we view others not as separate but as reflections of ourselves, our compassion naturally flows. We become kinder, more empathetic, recognizing that the joys and sufferings of others are our own. This compassion becomes the bridge connecting our individual hearts to the universal heart of humanity. In the pursuit of transcending the ego, we discover the wisdom of simplicity. The material world, with its endless distractions, loses its grip on us. We find richness in the simple moments, the quiet of dawn, the laughter of a child, the beauty of a shared meal. Our lives become less about accumulation and more about the appreciation of the present moment. Ultimately, transcending the ego grants us the freedom of letting go. We release the heavy burdens we've carried, our grudges, our regrets, our insatiable desires. In their place, we find lightness and joy. We learn to live with open hands, receiving each experience as a gift and letting it go when its time has passed. As we transcend the ego, we experience a mystical union with the universal spirit. We sense the divine spark within us and see it mirrored in everything around us. This realization is not intellectual, it is visceral and transformative. We recognize that we are part of something infinitely larger than ourselves, a symphony of existence playing out across time and space. In this space of universal oneness, there is no other, only an endless sea of us. Our actions become acts of service to the whole. Our lives become expressions of a love that knows no boundaries, a love that radiates from the very heart of existence. By transcending the ego, we come home to our true nature. We live not as isolated egos clamoring for significance, but as conscious beings aligned with the pulse of the universe. In this alignment, we find our greatest freedom, our deepest peace, and our truest purpose. As our exploration comes to a close, may you carry these insights with you, like a lantern illuminating your path. May you walk with the knowledge that transcending the ego is not the end, but a beginning, a gateway to a life lived in profound connection with all that is.